And it looks like I am live. Hey, everyone, welcome back again. I've got a good guest today, Brother James Clarke. Well, I shouldn't say brother, I should say Lieutenant Colonel retired James Clarke. He is my frat brother, hence why I call him brother. But it's all good. We're going to talk about transitioning from the military to civilian life. So I hope you all enjoy today's discussion. And so, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you all to Lieutenant Colonel retired James Clarke, live in Korea. How you doing, sir? Hold on. Let me unmute you. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, brother. How you doing, Otis? Good to
I'm
see you,
doing
man.
good. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's been a minute since I seen you in real life, face to face. Since what, 2014?
Yeah, that's about 2 minutes.
Oh wow, yeah, about
Yeah,
2 minutes. Yeah, you're right. You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
It it
That's
it, it has been a while.
yeah, yeah. You're looking good though, brother.
Appreciate it.
Um,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
We got a little nice setup here to make this thing look legit. So I'm enjoying it. But I see you've
Well,
got
you are legit.
hey, I'm trying. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. I see you got two things in the background there. I'm gonna blur those out for just for safety reasons. Uh,
Oh,
cow- Cowboys and Bama. Okay, okay, I see you.
hey,
Nope.
this is in my office. We call this the winner's corner, and only
Oh.
winners sit in this corner. So
Okay.
that's why the two winningest. I shouldn't say with the Cowboys, but at least Alabama is one of the winningest football teams in college history. So, but let's just keep rolling on because I know we'll start losing viewers if I go on my.
Yeah,
So
the
let's
numbers
not.
are already going down. It's already going down. But I wanted to, I want to say thank you for coming on and just talking with us about, transitioning from the military to a civilian life. And we're going to talk about, what your life was prior to becoming a civilian. So, what you were as a military officer, your time there, the time that you and I worked together when I was in my transition as well, and now your time in Korea, also as an Army spouse, your time now as a civilian in Korea. So let's go ahead and feel free to talk to us about what your military background is.
Well, of course, I started my journey back in 1994 when I graduated from Fort Valley State University, Wildcat family out there, and into the infantry. And I did most of my junior officer time up in Alaska from lieutenant to captain up in Anchorage, which was a very good experience.
Mm,
Just to put a pin in that, coming from Georgia, a lot of us wanted to stay in our comfort zone, stay in Fort Benning, go to Fort Stewart, maybe Fort Campbell, somewhere in the South.
mm-hmm,
But one of my mentors told me at that time to pick something that you're going to have a new experience, a new way of seeing things, seeing new
mm-hmm,
things, and Alaska just happened to be on the list, and that's how I got up there. And when I, ironically enough, when I got to Alaska, I ran into someone that knew my PMS. His name was
mm-hmm,
Lieutenant Colonel Jenkins,
mm-hmm.
and up in Alaska, there was really only 4 black officers at the time, and
What?
Colonel Jenkins was the post commander, and then there
Wow.
was 3 of us lieutenants running around in 501st. So yeah, that was way outside the comfort zone, but we learned a lot in an environment that was hostile towards everybody, not just hostile. And I'm talking about the weather. It was a common enemy
Oh, okay.
towards towards everybody. And that sort of, the adversity sort of helped that unit at the time, for new guys at the time, pull together. So I say that to say that that helped me in this transition, that when you're looking for things to do, don't just look at things that are in your comfort zone. Don't just try to go to where you think you're going to do be successful, because chances are your skill set will adapt to somewhere where they need you. And Alaska at that time really did need not only lieutenants, it really did need minority lieutenants. So, and I just put that in there because it was ironic that my PMS would tell me to go up there and then run into somebody that he knew up there.
So you would say then that if you see a place that you think or anticipate is not going to be the ideal location, you may actually succeed very much so in that new location, is what you're saying.
Yeah, just like because you're going to write your own rules some of the time, and if you go somewhere, like we're traditionally, we don't like going out west, Idaho, Iowa, those places. But you get out there and you figure out that people are just people. And oh, by the way, I don't have the stressors that I would have in a DC. I don't have the stressors that I would have in an Atlanta, because you're out there and you're learning as you go, and you have the time to develop. So when you're transitioning out of the military and you don't really know what you want to do, hey, don't turn off El Paso, Texas. Don't turn off New Mexico. Don't turn off a Nevada. Some of those places, they really do need your skill set, and you'll be able to write your own ticket, because you'll be, most often than not, the only person out there that's doing what you're doing. So
I hear you. So if you have a unique skill set and a unique, I should say, census, see it as an opportunity to flourish, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. See it as some way to forge new ground. If it's a new experience in your life, that's what you want to do. You want to break new ground. And the military, for me, gave me the opportunity to hone a certain skill set. It gave me the opportunity to continue my education, because if it's one thing that the Army did for me at every level, it educated me for what I was going into next. And that translated when I decided to retire. So
I got you.
Now, all of that training, leadership, management, supervisory training over here in Korea, it's a good fit. Just so happened I'm still working with DOD, but even if I was working with the State Department, it translates.
Yeah.
So
I got you. So currently, right here in San Antonio, it is 8:00. Well, I would say 8:08 p.m. So I would say it is 10:08 a.m. there in Korea.
Yep, Friday morning, man.
Okay, good. Well, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Looks like we got some comments coming in already. We've got good morning, Jaye. All right, all right. We've got some. Oh man. Oh man. I got you. I got you. I got you. So sir, let's talk a little bit about, so you spoke about how with your military background. I've heard in my time, I've heard the saying, there's no such thing as a bad job. There's always an opportunity for you to set your legacy, or set up or create a legacy in a certain job or a certain position. And you've sort of taken that in as far as your mentality when you're going into a new location, a new job, etc. Speaking of new jobs, let's talk about that job that you last had in the military. I think I think you were the EO of 101st Airborne Division.
Yeah, I was the EO and the Sharp program manager for 101st and Fort Campbell being the base, 101st being the division. I was the EO Sharp program manager for that base. And if you would have told me back when I was starting as an Airborne Infantry Ranger there in Alaska, and through my career to Hood and Raleigh and Stewart and all the way to retirement, that I was going to wind up retiring as the EO Sharp program manager, I would have said, no, I'm not. That's one thing. But evolution of a man and evolution of a career tend to show you what you're good at and tend to show you what you're bad at. I knew working with in the infantry that even when we deployed, the bottom line baseline of what we were doing was making things better for people and helping people and trying to make the world a better place. And I think doing that and then showing that we could do that in the Army by trying to make our soldiers better soldiers by who we are and with our skill set enticed me to go to Diomi, which is down in at Patrick Air Force Base, and go through the EO course and try to translate that, translate what I was doing there into the civilian sector, because I knew I was getting out. And I made that decision 3 years out that I was not going past Lieutenant Colonel.
Oh, wow. So you said 3 years out, 3 years out to actual retirement date. You knew, okay, you were not going to go past Lieutenant Colonel. I'm sure a lot of folks right now are wondering, what made you make that decision?
Well, there's a couple things. Number one, family. Family, always, you have to do things. You have to do things in the interest of the unit, not just in the interest of Jay. And my wife was taking off. My wife she was eventually going to pass me. So with that in mind, I got to look and say, okay, if I'm going to transition out of that into another role, I might as well transition early so I can get this role down early. So that's one thing. And but besides that, there's a point in your career that you know that the ceiling is up there, that you're about to touch the ceiling. And that is a hard pill to swallow. But the Army will gently tell you, and then they will harshly.
All right. So what are those 3 signs that lets you know, hey, I'm about to hit this roof? What are those 3 signs that you think people should generally look out for that tells you, hey, it's probably time to take it home?
Yeah, number one, you're not beating your soldiers to PT every morning. You're not getting up at 5:30, but you are getting there just in time for the horn to go off. That is a sign that you are falling behind your peers. Okay? Now, that's okay if you're in a job like EO. I say it's okay, but it's better to be there not leading troops than to be leading troops and being showing up at 6:30 every morning. Okay, that's the first side. So when I made the conscious decision to say, my body is not where it used to be. My health is not where it used to be. I can't run all night and then try to get up in the morning and run all day anymore. And that was early on. That was after the first deployment almost, that your body starts to break down. And then once your body starts to break down and you really not doing anything to help it, in terms of your nightlife, your habits, then you're going to have to come. It's going to be a reckoning, and that reckoning is going to tell you, hey, this Army thing will pass you by, and you will get a note in the mail saying the Army has passed you by. I never wanted to get that note in the mail. Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew that once I took myself out of the operational realm, that was the first signs, because I went my career field designation over into human resources, 42 hotel at the time, and became a personnelist, because my soldiers deserved better than someone that was not going to put the time because of their body failing. And there was a lot of other medical issues that was going on at the time that caused me to say, if I still wanted to do the Army, I needed to do it in another capacity. That because a airborne infantry ranger soldier needs someone that's going to lead the charge up that hill. And that happened as a major. And some of us won't come to grips with that, to say, hey, I can't do what I used to do back then. That's the first sign. So once you sort of change courses, that's one of the signs that, hey, that day will come. The second sign for me was that I wasn't having fun anymore doing what I was doing. Everything wasn't cynical, but some things I was beginning to look at them through cynical eyes.
Yeah.
I know that was well intended, but everything can't be anti whatever. They're doing the right thing. You just don't agree. So once you get that cynical bone in your body, or that everything that the Army is doing is all screwed up, and you're complaining more than you're helping, that's a sign. And I find myself not being disgruntled, but looking at some of the things across the military and saying that's not right, even though the military was doing it the best way they could do it. And so that's what another. And then the last part of it, I began to look at myself as someone that did not want to be in the military as an old man. I retired, I was 44. And when I retired, I thought I still had something to give to America besides the military, besides the military. And once that happened, and I really realized that, hey, I can't do this anymore because I'm a young man, but I don't want to jump out of airplanes no more. I don't want to walk through the mud anymore. I don't want to do all of that. I want to do something else. That was the key, because I wanted to be a young man doing something else and then having a military experience behind me. So with all that being said, those things came together at 2013, 2014. And I got out in 2015.
Gotcha. And, to summarize what you were saying, it's one is physically, you weren't able to do it as much anymore. Second is psychologically, you weren't happy anymore. And the third is kind of like a summation of both, where it just wasn't happening personally for you as much anymore. I just want to share something for me. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity, my last active duty year, which is 2013-14, to actually join your EO team. And you're the one who actually was the catalyst of my public affairs career. So anytime I say, for instance, I'm applying for a civilian job, and I get what you do. I was the public affairs assistant for the Equal Opportunity Program at the 101st Airborne Division. And honestly, that comes from a networking opportunity that I
Mhm.
gained with you. So I would say, and we'll transition into things that you need to start doing right before getting out. Networking, in my eyes, is really huge. It's really important. You need to network. You need to start doing the basics, like your resume writing, your interviewing skills, your being able to translate what you've done in your 15, 25-year military career. Can you
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about those little things that you did prior to 2015's official ending?
So in 2012, I was in Afghanistan,
Hmm.
and I remember sitting around one afternoon, and the doc was talking to us about, hey, you need to get these things in your medical records now. Why are you over here in theater? Because it's going to pay dividends when you get out. You
Hmm.
know, those that one conversation literally changed my way of seeing my physical medical self.
Yeah.
Now, why did that change it? In the Army, and most of us doing 20 years, we're expecting to retire and get our VA benefits also.
Hmm.
But along with that VA benefit is a rating, and that rating can be anywhere from 10
Hmm.
to 100. And
Hmm.
that scale from that 10 to 100 is a difference of $1,000
Yeah.
to $3,000.
Hmm.
And I say that because everything for me is a math problem.
Hmm.
Everything in life is a math problem because everything can be boiled down to basic numbers, no
Hmm.
matter what it is. So that math problem at that time in 2012 was, how do I maximize what I'm doing here in Afghanistan to maximize it to when I get out, by the conversation that I was having with the PA at the time.
Yeah.
And he said, right now, you go ahead and you do all of the things that you need to do here in theater that you're going to do when you get back there at Raleigh.
Yeah.
What was that? Head to toe.
Hmm.
Look at my neck, doc. Look at my back.
Hmm.
Look at my knees. Look at my calves. Look at all of this and write down what's going on. Start to document those things, especially if you're in theater, because that service connected injury and that combat connected injury gives you different ratings. And
Gotcha.
most of my injuries that I got from the VA ratings, the highest ones was from my combat related injuries.
And we're not saying that, okay, try to finagle your way into
No,
a fake rating. What we're saying, especially those that are checking out this discussion, is be
mm,
honest with yourself, be truthful with yourself, and be
yeah,
diligent in documenting everything. Because if it's not documented, it never existed. Point blank and period.
yeah, and exactly. No, and that's what I'm saying. When we were sitting around in that room, we were sitting around just talking, and I think the conversation came up. Why won't you just go and see the PA? We'll call the PA over here to see you.
Hmm.
And that's when he said, "Hey guys, y'all gotta you guys aren't young anymore. You
Hmm.
guys got to start putting this together because at the end of the day, this is what's going to give you your rating."
Yes.
And that conversation changed how we begin to look at ourselves as terms of not trying to game the system, but getting the system to do what it was supposed to do,
Hmm.
diagnose what was wrong with us. And there was a lot of things that we were going along thinking was normal that
Yeah.
was really abnormal.
Yep. Yep.
Not normal to not sleep 4 hours a night. That's not normal.
Hmm.
It's not normal to have headaches, a constant headache. That's not normal. But
Hmm.
we have grown accustomed as military men to always say, yeah, man, I always have a headache. Oh man, my knee always hurt. Have you
Ears
got it
always
checked out?
ringing.
My ears are always ringing. Have you got it checked out? Nah, no, that's for whatever, you know.
Yeah.
No, guys, I am living proof that one day, that one conversation changed my whole financial background when I got out of the military because of that VA rating.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, so we already talked about the health and medical side, financial side. Let's talk about the basics. So resume writing. Where did you go to update your resume before you got out?
Well, at the time, the Army was doing the, I think it was transition services. They still have those.
Yeah.
But you can
Soldier for life.
Soldier for life. Yeah. You can go there, and there when I was getting out, there was mandatory things that you had to go through. Now, fast forward to where I am now, the resume writing there is different from what we look for in the civilian sector. It really is. Okay.
I got you.
They don't tell you there to go and research exactly what a tank mechanic is, you know, how that translates to the mechanic world in the military. They don't do those things. They just give you the basic. Make sure you have a heading. Make sure you have this. Make sure you have that. But there's things that, as a hiring official, as on a hiring panel, that I look for. Number one, the resume can't be no more than 4 pages. If it's more than 4 pages, it's going into another pile, and I'll get to it when I get to it. That's just real talk. So stop turning in military guys. We don't want to know, and gals, we don't want to know what you did your entire military career. Give me an executive summary. Give me 4 pages of what you're currently doing or what you have done, and let me get through it and make a judgment on if you're right for this job or not. If you give me 19 pages, I'm going to read the first and the last page because I am lazy. And most of us are lazy, and most of us have more things to do than to go through 19-page resumes. So that's just being real. Cut it down, get to the point, and give us what we need to know: your education, your experience, and what you do outside of your regular job. Because I want to know what your character is. I want to know if you volunteer. I want to know if you go to church. I want to know those things because I'm going to be hanging around you more than I hang around my kids at some time, because they're with me 8 hours a day and they're with me, 4 hours a night before they go to bed. That type of thing during the daytime. So I want to know who I'm hiring. So put that little thing in the back. What organizations you're a part of, what you volunteer as, but don't give me a long resume. That's just me. Some guys may want the long resumes, but they don't tell you that in transition.
Oh, so I'm going to come back to transition, but let's add on. Let's check out some of the comments that already that's in here. Someone said, I think this goes back to our prior medical talk. Someone said, make sure the providers annotate a diagnosis. That is absolutely important, because if there's no diagnosis, then it doesn't count.
Hey, you got some smart guys out there. That is absolutely right. Tie it to something. Tie it back to something. Tie it to what's going on with you. That is a great comment. Because if it doesn't do that, the working at central office and up in with the VA, those guys, they're going through records just like we go through records, and they're going to miss something, and you're going to have to resubmit. But if it pops out, they can't overlook it. So don't let it get buried in a lot of writing. The diagnosis up front. It has to be there. It has to be there. So right.
So we got a good question that's coming in here, and I think you could possibly help us with this. So y'all feel free to send in your questions and everything, your comments. It's all welcome, okay? So check out this question. It says, Can you speak on how you translated your military experience as an infantry officer to a civilian resume?
Okay. So I'm a little unique because my infantry experience helped me with my basic leadership, management, supervising, moving people. Okay. So all of that as a infantry officer translate well to the civilian management, program management, analyzing, analyst, all of that, operations plans, any of those things in USA jobs. If you're an infantry guy, you're going to be able to do it because you know how to adapt and overcome. That's one thing that the infantry did for me. However, the military resume, military experience is always couched with your civilian experience too. Because I went on to get, while I was in the military, get my master's, get my black belt, Lean Six Sigma, and my green belt and black belt for Lean Six Sigma, a couple certification. DOME gave me arbitration, mediation, EO, sharp. So as you can see on this side where it's not really infantry related, the Army, it fills your kit bag with all kinds of other stuff that goes on your resume. And then as a bonus, I can also lead soldiers, lead civilians, lead people, and have the skills to problem solve. Because an infantry soldier can look at anything, and I don't want to broadly and generally put all infantry soldiers in there, but it's the strategic thinking, and it's the analytical thinking, and it's the problem solving, and it's the transitioning from one problem to the next that my infantry background helped me with.
And I want to add in a little point, and this may go with the second question that's coming in, right? Let me see if I could help answer this one. Here's the second question that's coming in. By the way, thanks for that prior question. The second question said, is there an agency or section on an Army installation you recommend with helping your resume? Ooh, let me help answer that. So when I was actually in Germany the past 3 years, and I was the Information Referral Program Manager for an organization called Army Community Service, or ACS. Check this out, y'all. In ACS, there's employment readiness. There's an employment readiness program manager, a GS whatever, I think 11 or plus or whatever. They're getting paid very well to help you write your resumes, help you put together your resumes. And there's a website that you can go on to see what are the main key things that's being looked for in a resume when you're writing it and when you're sending it in. That website is called FASTClass, FASCLASS. Check that out. It's called FASTClass. So I know I answered a little bit, sir, but how about you as a hiring official?
No, ACS. Become friends with those guys at ACS. They do layman's work. They do. I just in ACS we unfortunately we had a soldier expire, and the care classes that the ACS put on for us prior to that helped us get through that situation, and so I have nothing but praises for all ACSs, all Red Crosses, USOs, those type of organizations that are on military installations that are doing the work that the military that allows the military to do the job that it is here for, which is fight and win wars. And so the ACS is one of them. Occasionally the spouses club, they put on functions here, different types of things for spouses, because right now in the military, they're really pushing spouses to get employment. And it's just a natural progression for the military to begin to say, hey, if we're going to PCS our soldiers somewhere, at the very least, we need some preference for the spouses and some employment for the spouses at the very least. So they're building that type of service into the military structure.
Yeah, ACS is part of the Army ecosystem. It's a very helpful program. So I know you spoke. So you spoke about your resume and how you got everything situated, and now we're up to 2015. You officially retired. You are a military spouse. How was that experience moving from active duty, the day that last day of active duty, to officially you're Mr. Clarke?
Yeah, well, after Walmart didn't hire me as a Walmart greeter, I was overqualified. But the transition from being in the military to being a spouse is it's not as daunting task as we may think, because the household for working families, the dynamics don't change that much. Yeah. I was just home more than my wife, but I still cut the grass. I still did the dishes. I still cooked occasionally when my wife was tired when she got tired of me cooking, she'll put me together, because I was an awful cook at the beginning, but I can cook with the best of them now. The cooking and all of the things that traditionally we shared, because we both worked outside the house and then we came home and we still shared them. Those things are now, we still share them. I just do more of them and keep them updated, if that makes sense.
It does.
Buying the groceries. We always both bought groceries. Now I just have more time to buy groceries more than she does. We all cooked. We all called out and ordered in. So that stuff didn't change. What changed for me was the interaction that I had with people. Yes. And when you're a people person, or you hang around people and you want conversation, the letdown of not showing up and just having that interaction every day was a hard transition.
Let me expand on that a little bit.
Go ahead.
So you're speaking loudly about camaraderie, that daily camaraderie you have with your fellow man and your fellow woman that you work with. People tend to, some people may not necessarily be upset necessarily transitioning to a place where they're home and they're away from folks. But if, as you said, you're a people person, that camaraderie that, kind of give you a daily boost and it's gone now all of a sudden is a heck of a thing. But as you alluded to earlier, people, what things that you look for in a resume? You spoke about organizations, volunteering, stuff like that. Those are things that you can do to fill up that void that you all of a sudden have. Won't you agree?
Absolutely. And this is a plug for my great illustrious fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma. We always at Fort Hood, at Theta Delta Sigma, here at Alpha Omega Sigma, all at Fort Campbell, in DC, we always had something going on. And if you're not a part of some type of organization like that and you're retiring, look at it, because what would happen, what you will begin to see is, number one, your skills will continue to be honed by your planning those events, your participating in those events, as well as you're helping your community. And people will begin to rely on you, because they said, number one, they say, hey, Jay's home, give him a call. Hey, Jay, can you do this? Your church family. If there's one place that always needs someone to cut the grass, it's probably going to be your church.
Yes.
Get out there, or someone to clean, or someone to just open it up every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Get involved with those things. They will keep that feeling of, dare I say it, depression,
Yes.
those feeling of loneliness, that feeling of rejection if you exit the military some other way than retirement, that will fill that void. Okay, so I say that to say, get involved in your community. There's so many ways out there to do it. All you got to do is just find somebody and ask them, what are you participating in on Saturday and Sunday, and it'll go from there.
Well, especially, it's a wonderful feeling to lose yourself in serving others.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced that before, where someone may be in an austere situation or condition, and you just got out and you're just trying to find your second career or your new identity, because once you lose that rank off your chest, you're going to try to have to find some sort of identity. That's a heck of a thing. But looks like we got another question coming in, sir. Let's add that question in.
Okay.
It says, what would you say was the most difficult part of transitioning from an officer in the Army to a civilian, and how did you deal with it? You go ahead. Well, you want me to answer first and then you answer?
No,
let me share my experience. Let me share my experience, and I'll let you share it too, sir. The most difficult part about transitioning out. Well, I unfortunately medically retired out the military in 2014. And the most difficult part, honestly, was feeling like I let myself down. I didn't fulfill the goals that I had for myself. And the most difficult thing is coming to the realization that, hey, not everyone has a path to be a 20-year officer. Some people could still serve as a civilian and serve very well, which thankfully, and thank you goodness, I had the opportunity to do that now. And that was, how did I deal with it? I dealt with it with diligence, with knowing that this wasn't the end, and I was still able to serve, even if I had to leave the military, not on my own accord, but because of medical situations. So go ahead, sir. How about you?
Well, for me, because I started so far out, deciding that I was not, I was going to retire in 2014, but HRC said, no, you're going to retire in 2015. I started so that I really wanted to transition out of the military and start my civilian. So I look forward to it. I guess if there was a difficult part, it was leaving my friends that were still in uniform. It was not completing the goal of reaching, 06 or 07. That goal that some of my peers and some of my friends have attained. That it wasn't difficult, but when I look back and go, man, when we started as second lieutenants way back in Alaska, or when we went through Ranger School together or Airborne School together, all of us had these grandiose dreams.
Yeah.
And now we had some of us had to go, that's hard. We didn't make it, but Lawrence is carrying the flag for both of us. Or these guys that are out there that are still doing what they're supposed to do and still contributing the way that they envision they will be contributing at this time. And of course, I wanted to be that guy, but I made those goals and those dreams as a 18, 19, 21-year-old. And as you develop through life and family comes along and kids comes along and bad knees comes along and bad backs and aches, and those things begin to help you make these difficult decisions. and they become easy because if you're not as qualified as the guy in terms of doing what the Army is requiring of you to do, then that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That doesn't mean that you're a failure. Only 1% of America is doing what we're doing. You're a success just by saying I do, just by taking that oath. You are successful in most of those that have served eyes because you made that step. Now I say that to say that transition will be hard. It will be. What do I do now? Is retirement meaning I'm dying? No, all of that is nonsense. I started living when I became, retired. I started living.
Yes.
I get to go to all of my conclaves now. I'm not deployed and missing this, the state and the regional. I get to go to church and on the nights that the church is being held and not catching it online and those things, I get to be involved now. I am doing what I think my purpose in life was meant to be. And the Army helped me get to that purpose and get to where I think, and I don't want to turn this into a Sunday morning service.
Keep going, sir. Keep going. We're enjoying this.
It helped me get to what the purpose God intended for my life to be. And to help those around me that God intended for me to help. If I would have been stubborn and made the decision to keep going into the military, I may not have, I may not even have my two little ones that are here now,
Same here. Same here.
Those are extreme cases, but they may not be here because I wanted to take that assignment in Kuwait. I want to take that other deployment in Afghanistan. I missed those blessings that God intended for me because I wanted to stay in my will and not his will. So I say that to say it's going to be difficult, but know that if you're like me, that your plan is written in stone and all you got to do is get in it.
I'll tell you what, it's a scary world when the day after your retirement, you're like, oh man, what should I wear? I always know what to wear. I always know where to go. I always know what to do because someone had to tell me what to wear. Someone had to tell me where to go, and someone had to tell me what to do. It's a scary, scary feeling. But I'll tell you this, just as you said, Brother Clarke, you start living your best life, honestly, once you get out. If anything, if you've done what you're supposed to do in the military, it has given you a catalyst, it's given you a springboard to jump and get those goals, get those things that you want to start doing now. But we've got some more comments coming. Let's share some of the comments that's coming in. We got a Facebook user who said, Colonel White. I don't know if you know of a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah, Colonel White is Lawrence. I was just talking. Hey, what's up, brother?
All right. We got another comment. Someone saying, I needed to hear this. Hey, here's the thing. Blessings are always out there. Wherever you want to receive them, go and get them, right? I am thankful that I have a place that you could come and share your story that someone may not have had this opportunity to hear this. So I'm thankful for that, that this is happening. So for sure. We got a question coming in. It said, how far did you reassess your goals and start looking for an exit plan?
Like I said, I started back 3 years out. And I recommend that you'll know if you're running with the pack, if you're behind the pack, or you're ahead of the pack. You'll know. Okay. If you don't, call your branch manager now and they will tell you. For me, I was literally running with the pack. I wasn't good. I wasn't way out there, and I wasn't way back there. And running with the pack does not cut it in an environment that is fast-paced for me. Because for me, the 101st is a fast-paced organization. They don't run with the pack. Fort Hood is they don't run with the pack. you know, those are the type of organizations that I was used to running with.
Mm-hmm.
So when I made a decision to exit out of the military, my goals, I assessed, number one, I assessed my assets, my liabilities, my income, and my investments. I assessed all of those things. I wanted to see what my liabilities was and what did I have to leverage against those. So if you start early enough out, you can come up with a plan to get to where you need to go. Now, that plan may be a 5-year plan. It may be a 10-year plan, because you may have things like houses and cars and things that you just accumulate, and you look around and you go, how did I get all this stuff? You know, so assess all of that at 3 years out if you're thinking about getting out of the military, and then figure out what your habits are. Where is your money going? If your money is going towards habits, that's okay. Amazon is a habit, guys. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it is a habit. If your money is going towards that habit, make sure you're budgeting for that habit. If your money is going towards poker, make sure you're budgeting toward poker, because you live your best life. So if you get to the finish line or get retired and you want to be a World Series of poker player, knock yourself out. I applaud you, but you better budget for it, and you better have a plan to restart what you are spending or what is a liability. So you do those things. And last but not least, sit down with your family and let them know what your goals are. Make sure that their goals and your goals are aligned. And I'm not just talking about your immediate family. Your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, they look at you as getting out, and they may have some plans like, hey, are you coming back home to Georgia and work on the farm? Are you coming back home to Alabama and take over the family store? Or you going, talk to those people that you know may have plans for you when you get out of the military, and make sure that they know, hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, brother, we're not going into business, or friend from college, we're not going into business like we said we were. I got these other goals, okay? And then start, it's not an exit plan as much as a transition plan.
It's really about a transition plan. Yeah, I fully agree.
Because my exit plan is my ranch in Texas. That's when I'm doing nothing but going and doing the things that I want to do every day. My transition plan was, how much is the VA's paying me? How much is my retirement's going to pay me? How much my investment's going to pay me? How much do I need to work to make sure that I either sustain what I'm doing or rise to the level that I can get some of this other nonsense paid off and start living my best life. Okay.
By the way, I just want to share to everyone that's checking this out. Hey, if also, I love giving them a plug as far as what they do. Army Community Service has budgeting analysts and people that could help you with planning your finances. They could help you. This is something that we do in the military, backwards plan from the time that you get out to where you're at right now. They can help you with all those different things. So if you need some financial advice, it's free, a free service there for you. So check it out. So we got some more questions coming in. Let's read this question. It says, how difficult was it for you to find civilian employment? What advice would you offer an officer preparing to transition and still not sure what the next chapter looks like?
Okay. Civilian employment is out there. Number one, like I tell everybody, even at job fairs, go on USA Jobs, pull down the position description and what the job is looked for. Grab that and tailor your resume towards that. Okay. Every resume should be, and I know that people just want to have one, because I did it. Just want to have one resume they can upload and get referrals. You're going to get referrals, but you're not going to get selected, because somebody's resume 4 other resumes going to be better than yours, and chances are they're going to get the interview and you're not. Okay, and they're going to be all those jobs out there. So grab the PD. Make sure those buzzwords are in your resume that's in that PD. If it says station analyst and you know that you did station analyst, make sure in your resume you got station analyst all over it. If it says program manager, you make sure you got program manager all over your resume, because the system is designed to pull out those clue words and then throw it, make a certification list. That certification list is then certified, send over to guys like me. I pick from that certification list the resumes I want, and then I send that back to CPAC, and then those 3 people come and sit in front of me and tell me what they've done over the past couple of years. But you would never get to that seat if your resume is a generic resume that you have uploaded to 19,000 jobs.
Remember what I said?
Yep.
Fast Class, that website, man. It's honestly, it's what helped me get the job that I'm in right now. I was in Germany and I was able to get a job in San Antonio. Fast Class helps also.
So to answer your question, it wasn't. It's always going to be difficult, number one, just because you're going to be new into the system, and not getting referred is not a rejection. It's just saying that your resume wasn't a fit for that job. Okay. So don't look at all your not referred things as rejections. They're not. They're just, let me go back and tailor my resume by grabbing this PD so I can get referred and get in front of that person. Secondly, don't just look at the government as a means of employment. All right? Nonprofits are looking for people that plan. They're looking for people that manage. They're looking for good people. Even if you've never done a job before, you've been in the military, and guaranteed you did something like what they're asking you to do. So just walk in and say, hey, I'm interested in learning on what that job is, and put yourself out there. If you allow them to teach you for a month and say, hey, before you hire me, I'm going to work for a month so you can teach me. They will take that deal. Or the 6 months that you can't be employed by the military, you go and go to DPW, go to housing, go to any of those agency on post and say, hey, I want to learn what that guy does there. Can you get me a desk in the corner and start feeding me some stuff to help me learn what? Chances are they're going to do that because you are barred military manpower at that point for your 6 months there. Okay. Excellent. So start doing those things. And then when you get out, you will be better prepared to write that 4-page resume and take it in front of and put it in front of anybody and get selected.
Excellent. Let's read some. We're coming up to close the end of the discussion, but let's read some of the comments that's coming in. Someone said, absolutely, I will be picking your mind as I start my transition. Hey, sir, people will be coming. Just be aware of it. It's coming. All right.
They know me.
Here's some more comments. Someone said, and everyone will have a different transition timeline. One out some will find themselves in 6 months, 6 weeks, 2 years, or 3, but use your own timeline. I want to add to this point right here. Oftentimes in the military, we're kind of copycats, right? We kind of have a mentor who tells us, hey, you should probably be looking for these key jobs. And if you don't end up getting those key jobs and you're up in your years in the military and you find yourself maybe falling into that well of depression because you're not getting the rating that you may have wanted, you're not getting the job that you may have wanted, that is your timeline. That is not someone else's. Everyone has a different path to success. So I just want to add those words to that. That's just based on my own.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you. Go ahead.
and just to add on to that, your timeline doesn't stop when you retire. Post retirement, make sure if go out and make some mistakes. Your first 2 years, just make some mistakes. Just go
Mhm.
and try to be a Walmart greeter and see how far that gets you. You know, that's a terrible job for me because I don't like standing up a lot. So go out and make those mistakes. Go out and volunteer so you will know that, hey, I'm not gonna like that. Even if I got that job, I was only gonna be there for 5 months because I don't like doing that.
Mhm.
Make some mistakes, take some risks, start your own business.
Mhm.
Get grants and not loans. Do those things that will set you up for success. Don't think that you have to work for somebody your whole life. That's
Mhm.
not what's in the plan. The plan may be for you to be that next great thing. And you
Mhm.
won't be that if you're looking for a job with somebody else.
You're right.
Use that creative thinking. Think outside the box, as well as don't suffer for a lack of imagination. Because I know that you have that thought in your mind that I want to be the CEO of my life and my business. So use that.
Okay. I'll take one more question here. This is the last question. Then I'll read a couple more comments. Someone said, "Sir, should I upload my personal resume or use the website Resume Builder? Does it matter? Thanks."
Um, your personal resume, if it's more than what that website resume is going to present to me,
Mhm.
yes, I would say give me. I want you to jump off that page and make me put your resume in that pile.
Mhm.
That website resume may be bland and everybody has the same thing on it. And after a little while, I'm just throwing things, but your be creative on your resume. Don't do a lot
Mhm.
of color, don't be that creative, but put bottom lines up front. Tell me that you're a Rhodes Scholar. Right up
Mhm.
front, I am a Rhodes Scholar. You know, tell me that you have all of these certifications right up front. Tell me these are the schools that you went to. Tell me this is the dream that you want to attain. Give me something that will cause me to continue to read your resume.
Yeah.
Don't give me position descriptions from your last job as a platoon leader. You know, not that I won't read that, but that's not telling me nothing because the same guy has the same thing over here.
Yes.
Tell me what you did and how that relates to you, that job related to you. So
Okay. All right. So let's read a couple comments and then we'll call it a discussion. Someone said, "Universities and colleges are looking for planners." Absolutely. Someone said, "Excellent advice." And we've got Brother House. What's going on, sir? He said, "Brother Clarke, you're speaking the truth to me tonight. Thank you. I'm about to flood your email for advice and help. Get ready."
Hey,
We appreciate it,
but
Brother
hey,
Clarke.
Bernard, I'm gonna flood your email with dancing advice because I love your videos, brother. You keep that stuff going, man.
Excellent, excellent. Well, sir, hey, brother, sir, father, um, uncle, advisor, job, civilian, success. I want to say thank you for just having this discussion with me today.
It's too easy, man. Anytime, and hey, I'm out there. Everybody know me or my wife or my family or my friends. If you know somebody that know me, just ask them, hey, that, give me his number.
Hmm.
It'll be posted, and I'm more than happy to sit down and talk to you about some of the mistakes I made and
Hmm.
some of the things that people, my mentors, which there are a lot of them out there that have given me outstanding advice, and also, which is key, have told me when I was wrong. You got to have a truth teller in your life.
Hmm.
If you don't have a truth teller in your life, you're not you won't get that answer that you really need at the time that you need it. So thank you for this, my brother.
Hey,
I hope to see you soon in person, you know, when this thing is lifted. But tell the family I said hello, and everybody out there, thank you guys, all of my friends. I miss you guys. I love you guys, and we'll see you on the high ground.
all right, sir. We appreciate you. Take it easy now. All right. And that was an excellent discussion with Lieutenant Colonel retired James Clarke. Of course, if you want to contact him, he, as he said, he put his contact information out. And, to those that are about to transition out the military, that to those that are thinking about transitioning out, to those that are still in and are going strong, thank you for your service. But be mindful that everyone will get out of the uniform one day. So prepare yourself early. Prepare yourself as much as you can. Get your education, do as much things as you possibly can. Utilize the services and the facilities that the military has for you. I sure did. And, I appreciate my time in there. And I think I'm doing pretty well now as a civilian. So I want to see you as a success also. Okay. So, as I say in parting every single time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and take care of others. Peace.